Gohan simply easily mastered Goku's Ultra Instinct in the new Dragon Ball Super movie. Mastering complete Ultra Instinct is, without a doubt, one of the greatest feats ever recorded in the Dragon Ball universe. Unlike any other traditional form or transformation, it is not just a matter of power, ki, or physical training. It is an absolute state of harmony between body, mind, and instinct, something that transcends the natural limits of even the gods. And because of this, the path to it is almost unattainable for most mortals and extremely difficult even for the most prodigious warriors. The difficulty in reaching this state begins with understanding its concept. Ultra Instinct requires the user to completely free his conscious mind during combat. This means erasing rational thought, abandoning any type of hesitation, doubt, or conflicting emotion in the heat of battle. The body must move on its own, reacting by pure reflex without the mind interfering. For human beings and Saiyans whose fighting has always been a mix of strategy, anger, will, and emotional overcoming, this idea is completely unnatural. Trained from the beginning to think, decide, and react consciously, they are forced to unlearn what they spent their entire lives mastering. Goku, despite his genius in combat and almost unlimited potential, suffered countless times before even touching the instinctive state. In the Tournament of Power, he was only able to access Ultra Instinct when he was on the verge of death, through the impact of a reversed spirit bomb and a cosmic shock of energy. This was not the result of direct training, but an emergency awakening of the body, instinctively protecting its existence. And yet, at that moment, the mastery was partial, unstable, like a flash of an ability that his body barely understood. True mastery, known as complete Ultra Instinct or Megare no Goku Kansen Keitai, goes much further. It is not just about moving the body automatically but maintaining this state during an intense battle, even when faced with life-threatening opponents. Absolute calm must be preserved even under extreme pressure. This is something that not all angels can convey clearly, and even Whis, a being who lives in this state constantly, made it clear that reaching this level requires a profound internal change. It is not just about physical training, it is an evolution of the soul. Another aspect that many people ignore is the emotional and psychological cost of Ultra Instinct. Goku is, by nature, an impulsive warrior, driven by pure emotions, especially the excitement of fighting. Having to silence this flame, even temporarily, is like going against his very essence, and that is why, even after achieving complete Ultra Instinct, he still struggles to maintain it. All it takes is an emotional imbalance, a concern for his friends or family, and this control is undone. The emotional neutrality required is a constant challenge, almost a sacrifice of what makes him human. In addition, the training necessary to maintain this state takes years, perhaps entire lives, and is only possible with the guidance of entities such as Whis or other beings with access to the divine plane. The body needs to be refined to the point of being able to perceive and react at speeds that defy logic, often at levels that not even time can keep up with. This requires endurance, absurd sensory perception, and more precise ki control than any previous form. It is not about accumulating energy until it explodes, as in the Super Saiyan forms. Here, less is more. Ki is controlled with extreme efficiency. There is no waste, there is no excess. There is also the issue of durability. Maintaining complete Ultra Instinct is an almost unbearable pressure for the mortal body. Energy flows constantly, reflexes operate at maximum level all the time, and this exhausts even Goku. In the Tournament of Power, when he reaches this state for the first time, his body simply cannot hold on for long and collapses. And even later in the fights against Moro and Gas, we saw that the stability of Ultra Instinct is something that Goku needs to constantly renew. Each battle is a test, not only of strength but of inner balance. Finally, Ultra Instinct is not just a technique or transformation, it is a lifestyle, a new way of thinking, of existing, and of fighting. And that is why Goku has not yet fully mastered it. He accesses it, uses it, but is still far from living permanently in this state as the angels do. This shows that even though Goku's power is close to the divine, his essence is still that of a warrior who loves to fight, who feels, who suffers, who gets emotional. And perhaps that is precisely what makes him special. Total mastery of complete Ultra Instinct requires more than strength. It requires detachment, clarity, introspection, and an almost inhuman inner peace. Few beings are capable of approaching this. Goku is one of the very few who have achieved it, and even he is still on a long journey. Therefore, more than a technique, Ultra Instinct is the pinnacle of spiritual evolution in Dragon Ball, a state reserved not for the most powerful but for the most balanced. It is precisely at this point when we realize that Ultra Instinct requires more than strength and speed that Gohan's figure becomes even more relevant. For a long time he was underestimated, treated as someone who had abandoned the path of warriors in the name of science, peace, and civil life. But what few understand is that behind this decision lies a prodigious mind with a capacity for reasoning and adaptation that surpasses even Goku. And when it comes to Ultra Instinct, this could be exactly what's needed. Gohan was never just brute strength. Since childhood, he has demonstrated abilities that went far beyond what was expected. At just 4 years old, he showed enough power to rival adult warriors. And more than that, he showed sensitivity, empathy, and early emotional control, fundamental characteristics for someone who wants to master a technique as complex as complete Ultra Instinct. While Goku almost had to die to reach this state, Gohan could very well be the first mortal to understand it through method and reasoning, and not just through survival instinct. Gohan's hybrid nature, being the son of a Saiyan and a human with above-average intellect, Chi-Chi, makes him biologically unique. He carries the latent power of the Saiyans, but also the analytical mental structure of humans, and this could make all the difference. Gohan is someone who doesn't just fight, he understands fighting. He observes, processes, deduces, and reacts extremely quickly. During the Tournament of Power, he was one of the few who strategized with surgical precision, using the battlefield as a board. And Ultra Instinct is, in essence, a mental board. It is the fusion of absolute intuition with perfect serenity. Unlike Goku, who depends on repetition and direct experience to adapt, Gohan has the ability to abstract complex concepts quickly. Give him a technical explanation, a pattern, a theory, and he will test it in seconds inside his mind. This gives him a unique potential. He does not need to go through the same traumas or physical limits that his father faced. Gohan can learn through observation, reflection, and logic. When we think about Gohan's beast form, we realize that he has already accessed a state that, although different from Ultra Instinct, shares many similar mental demands. To release this power, Gohan had to break through internal barriers that are much more rigid than physical ones. He had to accept the warrior within him without denying his intellectual nature, and the beast form represents this, a fierce balance between reason and emotion. If he has managed to master this dichotomy, it would not be unreasonable to assume that he is closer to the state of mind required by Ultra Instinct than any other mortal. Another factor that weighs in Gohan's favor is his familiarity with the concept of complete self-control. Unlike Goku, who often gets carried away by the excitement of combat, Gohan knows how to set limits. He knows when to attack, when to retreat, when to hold back. In many situations, his greatest flaw has been precisely holding back too much. But this, within the context of Ultra Instinct, can be transformed into strength. Emotional neutrality, calm in the midst of chaos, absolute focus are attributes that he has always carried even without realizing it. What if Gohan decided to actually train under Whis' guidance? His learning curve could be frighteningly fast. While Goku needed near-lethal fights and years of trying, Gohan could understand the fundamentals of Ultra Instinct in weeks. He doesn't need to copy his father. He can take another path, more cerebral, more technical, more stable, a path in which he doesn't just activate the state out of necessity, but incorporates it with elegance as if it were a natural extension of his way of being. In addition, there is a philosophical question. Ultra Instinct requires the user to trust himself completely, to the point of letting the body act without the mind intervening. And Gohan, over the years, has had to rediscover that self-confidence. He has had to step out of Goku's shadow, abandon the doubt that has been eating away at him since the fight against Cell, and accept his role as protector, as warrior, as symbol. This emotional maturation, which culminated in the beast form, may be the last necessary step before the leap to ultimate instinct. The irony is that while many look at Gohan as someone who wasted time away from the battlefield, what he has really done is accumulate mental and emotional resources that now place him in a privileged position. He is no longer the conflicted teenager, nor the reluctant academic. He is someone who saw the world almost end, who protected his daughter, who overcame his own internal constraints, and who now, with a sharp mind and an absurdly great latent power, is ready for something greater. If Gohan trains with Whis or even with Goku, he could not only achieve Ultra Instinct, he could perfect a new form, perhaps an unprecedented fusion between Ultra Instinct and the Beast form. a form where the body moves on its own, but with the primal strength of the beast that he has awakened within himself. A new, hybrid, unique evolution that would represent not only his father's overcoming, but the redefinition of what it means to be a warrior in the Dragon Ball universe. And the most impressive thing of all is that Gohan would not seek this out of glory or pride. He would seek it out of necessity, out of love, out of responsibility, to protect his family, to ensure that evil never again threatens the innocent. And that is precisely what could make him even more dangerous. Because Gohan's instinct is not guided by the will to fight, but by the desire to protect. And that is the kind of instinct that never fails. Ultra instinct does not belong only to the gods. It belongs to those who understand absolute balance. And at this point, Gohan may be more than a candidate. He may be the next to awaken the perfect instinct in his own way. If Gohan is able to combine Ultra Instinct with his beast form, the result could be a transformation never before seen. A state where the wild and chaotic power of the beast meets the serenity and absolute precision of divine instinct. This fusion of extremes, as paradoxical as it may seem, could be exactly what the universe needs to face a threat like Black Frieza. After all, the biggest mistake many make when thinking about Ultra Instinct is to treat it as an isolated power, when in fact it is a mental state that can be applied to different forms and styles of combat. And Gohan, due to his hybrid nature, is in the ideal position to create something new. The beast form has already proven to be one of the most aggressive and brutal among the warriors of Universe 7. His ki is unstable, his aura is dense, his eyes shine with concentrated fury. But if this fury is tamed, channeled through the neutrality and sensory perception of Ultra Instinct, the result would be a warrior with the power of an untamed beast who moves with the grace of an angel. Imagine Gohan attacking with the force of his beast form, but dodging attacks at the last split second without even thinking, letting his body act on pure reflex, instinctive but charged with devastating power. Against Black Frieza, this kind of power could be exactly what is needed. Frieza, upon reaching his black form, has reached levels of power that surpass even those of Goku and Vegeta in their most advanced states. He not only possesses absurd strength, but also emotional coldness, tactical ruthlessness, and astonishing speed. Facing him with brute force or pure technique may not be enough, but someone like Gohan combining absolute instinct with primal intensity could upset this balance and put him at a disadvantage. Gohan would be unpredictable, fast, and uncontrollable, everything Frieza fears. More than a simple fusion of forms, this would represent a new philosophy of combat, where Gohan's intellect dominates his own fury, and where the body surrenders to instinct without giving up its identity. It would be a form that Goku does not have, and that not even Vegeta dared to seek. It would be something uniquely his, and at a time when the universe needs something beyond what already exists, Gohan can once again be the one who breaks the limits and redefines the possible. But comment on what you thought of all this, and don't forget to like. Thank you very much for all your support, and see you next time.